May they find their peace. We honor them now, in the only way we can.
In Zack Snyder's Space Fights Rebel Moon Part 2, the promises made by the first film are finally fulfilled. Now that ex-Imperial soldier Kora has returned to her humble village with a hired group of mercenaries, they must prepare the village for the imminent arrival of the Imperial Star Destroyer. At long last, after having to sit through the insanely boring first film, we now get to the good stuff. Just not quite yet, because there's a couple more things we gotta do first. Things like waiting around, and waiting around, and waiting around, and waiting around, and playing Farming Simulator.
In slow motion.
To cut to the chase right away, Rebel Moon 2 is another gigantic Snyder fumble. And like I said last time, it's really frustrating to see because he's such a visual talent. He just got too full of himself. He tries to do way too much. All that talent has gone to waste.
Victory has defeated you.
You know, he's a gold-sniffing dog who uses his nose not to find gold, but to smell his own farts. And whereas before, I've always tried to have Snyder's back and believe he will improve, no longer. After this movie, I'm done. I don't care anymore. Friendship ended with Zack Snyder. Now the only controversial director I simp for is Michael Bay. See, in this movie, the problems I've identified about Snyder before are all once again on full display, in a worse way than ever before. All the worst Snyder flaws have been condensed into this 1-2 hour package, into 3 main categories. Snyder doesn't have a proper present, only a hollow space between the past and the future. Snyder doesn't know how to weave a narrative, so he tries to replace it with visuals. Snyder doesn't know how to use the inherent value of his elements, so they end up being wasted, which is the biggest thing to roast him for, so do stick around for that.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
And so today, one last time, let's go through Rebel Moon 2 to expand on the core Snyder flaws we've discussed before, to figure out why his recent work has failed again and again, and how we can avoid the same mistakes. Because as for Snyder himself, it doesn't seem like he's getting better anytime soon, not unless someone above him steps in to strip him of his power as a wake-up call.
Unworthy of his realm, unworthy of your title!
Because the thing is, all of Snyder's movies after DC, Rebel Moon and... what was the other one? What was the zombie movie called? Army of the Dead. All these movies have been riddled with the same problems. And instead of clearing the table and trying to improve, Snyder already announced... where did I put it? My writing tabs, YouTube tabs, here, my article tabs. Yes, Snyder already announced more director cuts of this same and that it's all a massive cinematic universe that he's putting together. Like, dude, how about you just direct one functional movie for a change? Get over yourself, please. Until then, you know. Oh, and since you're probably wondering what I was doing here, it's my desktop browser, Opera. It has this built-in AI called Aria that you can ask questions without having to click away to find the answers. It has this feature called Tab Islands where you can organize your tabs into neat groups and then collapse and expand them when needed to avoid clutter. Opera has all these tools and more because unlike Zack Snyder, it's always trying to improve, to be faster and better and more convenient than all other browsers.
You always have to get the one up, alright? It's a competitive thing.
And you can see for yourself by downloading Opera for free with the link below. You'll also help my channel. But yeah, here's the Filmento cut of Snyder flaws. The first core Snyder flaw is that he's unable to make the present entertaining, because his present is mostly an empty space between the past and the future, focused on them. To best explain this, let's look at this movie from the beginning. A beginning that consists of, you guessed it, voice-over narration about stuff that has already happened.
In an ambush on the floating docks of Gondoval, Kora triumphed over Admiral No.
After that, we move inside the Empire Star Destroyer to see that the villain from the first movie is alive and back in business. Business mostly revolving around traveling back to Kora's village to get revenge on her and everyone around her. And now, in the first hour prior to the destroyer arriving at the village, what does the villain side of the story consist of? Well, only that. The future. We stand around talking about how long it will take to get to the village.
A few days, sir.
We stand around talking about what will happen once we get there.
When I deliver her to Belisarius and her body is displayed in the rotunda of the Senate, I shall bare my chest.
We stand around FaceTiming a soldier in the village who everyone already knows has switched sides.
Ensure that the harvest is brought in as planned.
That's literally it. In the here and now, there is nothing. No big obstacles to overcome, no real conflict to solve, no character-shaping choices to make, no planning or preparation or anything. We just hang out, waiting for and referencing the future again and again, which is boring as hell.
How's the harvest been going?
Just ignore him!
Ignore him!
And it's not much different on the hero side. Most of the entertainment in their first hour revolves around talking about the past, about characters and places that play zero part in the here and now. Oh, I was working for the galaxy's royal family, but then there was a coup and I shot the princess. Oh, I was a talented war general, but then I had to watch the Empire annihilate all my men. Oh, I was a prince of a steampunk planet, but then it was invaded and I had to run to preserve my bloodline. Oh, I was in a mine and it got liberated. Well, that's all very cool and all, but how about the present? What's actually going on right now? We return to the village and talk about what happened.
Admiral Noble is dead.
All of which we already know to be moot. We hold a press conference to tell the villagers that they must fight and that their grain will protect them from artillery attack. We walk around and lie in bed and have a feast and sing songs and hand out awards and go to harvest the crops.
In slow motion.
For the first half of the movie, in the hero side's present, nothing's happening. No obstacles, no conflict, not a sign of entertainment. The only source of entertainment exists in recaps of the past and promises of the future.
We could pull it out. It could be a powerful asset.
And it boggles my mind why Snyder keeps doing this. Why can't he just make the movie he really wants to make right now? Why are his best ideas always tiny fragments of something that has happened or will happen? Yeah, Batman and Superman will get in real conflict one day, but today their conflict is not yet very strong.
Please, you have to listen to me. Lex wants I can't hear you.
Yeah, things will start moving in the second half, but for now, we gotta take a break from harvesting crops. What? What the fuck? Because the thing is, you can do both. You could open the movie with the flashback of the royal coup in Kora's past and then cut to a present where something equally fascinating is going on. But sadly for Snyder, that seems impossible. It's like he doesn't know how to be a feature-length director anymore. He shouldn't be making 2-hour movies. He should be making 3-minute music videos, 60-second commercials, or better yet, 10-second TikToks.
Well done.
Maybe that's something he should try in the future, cause the present ain't working. The second core Snyder flaw is that he tries to use visuals to replace narrative, which of course doesn't work and makes everything feel hollow. A good showcase of this is the crop harvesting sequence, in which there's no narrative purpose. There's nothing on the lines of A unfolds, but then B complicates things, and then the answer requires C. No, it's just straightforward visuals. The villagers wake up and walk into the beautiful field. They start whacking the beautiful field down. They run around in beautiful sunlight. They pile the grain into the buildings with their shirts off to expose their beautiful bodies.
In slow motion.
And that's it, that's the sequence. It is what it is, and that's the most it could ever be.
Is that it?
To explain this further, look at the intimacy relationships that sprout during the harvesting, like the one between the hired samurai and this local kid. When the samurai first arrives in the village, there's immediately shots between her and the kid, clearly about him generating affection for her because she's a cool samurai. And as the movie goes on, these shots every once in a while continue. He plays tricks on her because he's so in awe of her. She looks at him longingly, almost like a mother at her child. In terms of what's on screen, it works really well. I fully understand what's between these two.
Thank you.
But the problem is that narratively, there's not enough detail here for this relationship to make a true impact. I have no idea why the kid takes affection in the samurai other than because she's a cool samurai. Like, does he have a family of his own? What's his life like? What is it about this fighter that catches his eye more than the other fighters? Is he a samurai fanboy? Or is he a playboy who likes older women? I don't know. I have no idea why the samurai takes affection in the kid other than because of the basics. Yes, I can quickly understand that she probably had a kid of her own who she lost, and so now she sees her kid in this kid. But what is it about this kid that she sees? Like, was her kid similar? Did her kid have this same playful energy and smile or something? I don't know, and I never find out. I don't know what to feel beyond what's on screen. And so, when this relationship ultimately culminates in the kid risking his life to help the samurai and the samurai giving her life for the kid, it works, but it doesn't really hit like it should, because all I have to go on in terms of these emotions is the visuals conveying the emotions. Like, yes, I get that the ex-soldier and the local girl have feelings for each other because they look at each other with feelings. But there's never a proper scene between them that isn't exposition. We never dive into their relationship narratively, so I don't have enough to really get invested. It all looks good on screen and I understand it, but I just don't care.
You did good.
Oh no! Anyway, last week...
And the same scenario repeats all throughout the movie. The story should be a powerful tale of farmers learning to rise against oppression, yet it feels lackluster because the learning part is missing narratively. All there is a few shots where some villagers step to fire a gun for the first time, which they immediately succeed at. That's it.
We're going to learn the basics of attack, so what we're going to try and do is... that.
The villain side should be a desperate tale of getting the village's grain to survive.
It's the grain.
Yet there's no narrative dive into it, into how their crew is being affected by starvation or something. All there is a few shots where the villagers pile the grain on their buildings and then the villains look at it like, oh my god, our grain, we can't attack. That's it. For Zack Snyder, cinematography seems to be in a zero-sum game against narrative. If he shows it on screen, then I guess it doesn't need to be developed in writing. Why spend time establishing the various hierarchies and power levels and backgrounds of the villain side when you can just show in action that this soldier fight good and this soldier not fight so good and these soldiers, for some reason, they're fully incompetent. Well, if you want the audience to care about what they see, then yeah, you should understand that visual showing cannot replace storytelling. The third Snyder flaw is that he's unable to utilize the inherent value offered by his elements, so they never really fulfill their potential. A great example of this is the robot, a former royal family guard who lost his purpose when the family was slain. There's a lot of potential there already. I mean, he's a super strong robot voiced by Anthony Hopkins who can kick ass and take names.
In slow motion.
And he even has a tension-filled connection with Kora, as she's the one who slayed the princess he was designed to protect. And yet, what does all that potential amount to? For the first 90 minutes, the robot basically just sits on a rock to watch the villagers and then in one scene tells Kora that it's useless to fight.
You cannot win.
With no mention of the topic of the princess's slaying. And even when he shows up to fight at the end, he saves heroes who mean nothing to him.
Who the f*** is that guy?
From enemies who mean nothing to him.
Who the f*** is that guy?
It is cool because the element is cool, but in terms of what was on the table, it's a major letdown. For comparison, imagine if the movie leaned into this connection between the robot and Kora, into where he was when the slaying happened. Imagine if something was done with that. You know, maybe they're allies at first, and Kora tries to keep her past a secret, and when the robot finally learns that she was the one who slayed the princess that day, he turns on her and almost kills her. And maybe then something makes him change his mind and he shows up into battle to save a hero who means something to him from enemies who mean something to him. Because if nothing's done with the slaying connection or with this battle outside of it looking cool, then what was the point of all the potential? In the same manner, the hired heroes are also wasted. They have these very specific backstories of being master tacticians and Tarzans with animal bonds and whatever else, yet none of that ever comes in play. There's no scene where some ingenious strategy is made, no scene where bonds with animals are utilized. No, the heroes just hang around for an hour, and when it's finally time to battle, it's very basic pew pew bang boom. The master tactician jumps out in the open to fire mindlessly. Tarzan runs out in the open to swing his axes mindlessly. I mean, even the super cool samurai just dies in her first fight. And if so, what was the f***ing point? You could have just cut out the samurai and the kid completely and the movie would still work the same. Nothing of value would be lost. The reason value is lost is because you bring this stuff in only to not make use of it. Like by hiring incredible actors and then giving them nothing to act with.
Do you see a diamond? Huh? If there is a diamond, then you are the one who wants to call it.
Ready as water. Old stories can be hard to give up.
And as harsh as it can be to say, Zack Snyder has become a rich fat kid in a candy store who licks every flavor there without taking time to taste a single one.
I gotta take that. Yes.
Yeah, there's this galactic imperial army, but they're mostly useless. Yeah, there's this galactic tyrant, but he's not really in the movie. Yeah, there's this big plan to infiltrate the Star Destroyer, but its complexity doesn't go beyond pretending to be an injured soldier and then not being it.
Strange, I'm not seeing any wounds.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Wait, that's not.
Yeah, we have a bloodthirsty Batman who is super cool because it's a bloodthirsty Batman, but then all it takes for that bloodthirst to end is someone saying that their mom is called Martha too, by the way. What a waste. The point is to use the value of elements instead of relying on the value just being there. The only standout scene in this movie is the fight between Kora and the villain in the Star Destroyer, because now the elements in play are actually played with. The destroyer falls from the sky during the fight, which makes the fight happen in shifting gravity. Awesome! Finally, the potential is made use of. And until Snyder learns to use the value of all the things he's given, he should not be given anything valuable. Don't let him into the candy store. Don't give him all this power to do whatever he wants in there. Strip the power away from him. The only way Zack Snyder can save himself tomorrow is by learning to appreciate the value of what he has today.